Hello and welcome back to another Pepe's Armpit production. Just wanted to jump here and talk about a recent philosophical epiphany I've had. It's gonna sound like one of those wow, I had this when we were eight, like you know how the girls on TikTok talk about how we thought this when we were 8 years old. So it's gonna be stupid, but still something I came up kind of realized, want to share. So I'm gonna start off with a story. So it start what in I was taking a philosophy class in college, right? And there was this thing we discussed called the experience machine, which is basically where you go inside a machine. It's basically you go in the matrix and you live life and like your ideal life, and then like every two you live like a life, and then it's like in the real world it would be 2 years. So you wake up and then for like 30 minutes you're like, oh my goodness, what, that was all fake, and then you plug back in, live the next life. And so for me, the first thing I thought of like was if I did that, okay, I get to live my ideal life. I guess what would that be? And I was like, oh, lots of money, be rich, power, stuff like that. Typical like basically typical stuff you could do if you could kind of be whatever you wanted. Now, for me, I've never really been a person that's chased money. So the teacher, the professor is like, okay, would you take the machine or would you not? Like, if would you go in the machine or not? And for me, I said no. I said I'd rather live in the real world, even if it's harder, because I know it's real. Even though you wouldn't know it's real when you're in the Matrix machine thing, you'd think that's the real world. But anyway, like it's not really real. Like you think it's real, but so I was like, okay, yeah, I would choose the I would choose to stay in the real world. And most of the people in my class, like, there were a couple of guys that said no, I would go in the machine, but for the most part, everyone's like, yeah, I'd stay in the real world because I guess maybe part of it is you don't want to be seem as a kind of materialistic person who just chases passions and desires and stuff. So I don't know if everyone was being genuine or what, but for me, I was genuine. I was dead serious. Like, yeah, no, I would stay in the real world. And then so I stopped thinking about it, whatever, it was an assignment. And then a few months later, I was reminiscing on the time I was living in the dorm, in my high school dorm, in my senior year. And I was like, oh well, great times, lots of great memories. And I thought, oh, maybe I can't, I wish I could go back, typical stuff when you're reminiscing. And I was like, then that sentence, I wish I could go back, reminded me of the experience machine, that we talked about in philosophy class. And I was like, oh, well, now that I put it as a thing that I've actually experienced, and what I would consider one of the best, I mean, probably the best time of my life, best period of my life. So I was like, so then I thought about it. I was like, well, what if the experience machine, what if to me my ideal life wasn't the whole money, or maybe it was that I've never experienced being a multi-billionaire or something like this. But I've experienced being happy in the dorm with my friends and the people I was closest to, and making and having good memories and having a good time. And trying to think what I'm trying to get at here, but yeah. So I was like, oh. So then for me, I thought, oh, okay. So if so changing it from being this rich billionaire to being just going back in time to when I was most happy, I was like, I'm now much more likely to accept this I'm gonna call it a deal, I guess. I'm much more likely to accept the offer of going into the machine because I've actually experienced what the machine could provide. So I know I would actually hope it because it was something I'd enjoy because it was something I'd been longing for. So then it got me to back to the whole being rich, and I was like, okay, well, what if I was a multi-billionaire at one point or something, and I knew what it felt like to be rich and to have all this, I guess like political power, whatever stuff you want to do, best food you can eat, and all that. So then I thought, Because for me, I've always been the kind of person to say, if I had money, I wouldn't let the greed consume me. If I had political power, I wouldn't become evil, I guess. I wouldn't become greedy or corrupt. I would be a dictator for sure, but not like, I would try to, like, dictator like Gaddafi, basically, like dictator, sure, but at the interest of his own people. So then it made me realize, am I really a good person? Because if I'm so easily willing to take this machine to go back to when I was most happy, just because in that reality I'd be a good person, in that machine I'd be the person I am, but I don't really know what I'd be like if I had the power to be, rich and all that. Would I really, really be, stick to my supposed morals of no, be good. If you have money, use it to help others. Don't be selfish. Don't be greedy. Don't let the wealth consume you. Don't use your money to do bad things. But would I really? And I think I just want to get to, talk about that, I guess. Am I really a good person? Am I really kind of this morally righteous person that I claim I am, who wouldn't give in to the passions of the earth and to the greed of mankind? Am I really just the same as everyone else? Am I really just not that special, that good as I think I am? Anyways, yeah, that's my thought on it. Those are my thoughts on it. I'm gonna finish this thing of surf and then I'll end the video. I fucked up the shortcut. No, did I? Yeah, I did. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.